Okay, so we are going to put together the graduation card. And so I've got the two white layers. I cut that second layer out of gold. And then the base layer out of black here. So you've got your score lines, and we're gonna go ahead and just give those a nice crease. So you've got some here on the horizontal, and then you've got one that goes straight down, and that one's actually going to pucker in. So you're gonna pucker those in, and then let those ones on the angle come in. So sometimes it's easier to just fold these down first to get them used to bending, and then they'll pucker in a little easier. Sometimes. And sometimes you just have to do the work for it. And train that paper. So all I did was I bent in the one corner, and I'm just training it here. And then I can do the same thing on this side, bend there, and then push that one out to train that corner in. All right, and then you should be able to just bring both of the corners in. And then sit it nicely like this. Okay, so that is the front. So let's go ahead and put it in the inside. So we're gonna put this layer in first, and you're gonna have a nice little gap all the way around all the edges. And then this will be the layer that goes on top of it. And again, you'll have a nice little layer there, and this is where you can write your little sentiment. So these two layers are actually going to be take a while to glue down with the liquid glue. So I'm going to go ahead and do these first, and I just want to make sure I've got the paper going the right direction. So you want to be careful when you're putting glue on this foily gold silver paper, because if you get glue in the wrong place, it'll smear, and it's pretty visible. So that makes it a little bit difficult. You want to be careful and get it in the right place the first time. So like I said, you'll have a nice little gap around the whole thing. So I am just trying to work on my placement before I set it down. And I think that should be good. So I just lined up the tip here first, and then just laid it down from there. And I think I did a pretty good job. So like I said, this is going to take a little bit to dry. And I can see I've got a little too much glue over here. And I didn't go up far enough because my spot there is, shoot. So I'm just sliding this up a little bit. Okay. So I've got a little bit of glue smudging down here, and that's what I was afraid of. So I'm just going to use my little kind of scraper part here and see if I can't gently scrape away that glue without leaving any marks. If you have a glue eraser, that might be a good thing to use on here. Not too bad. Okay, so I'm gonna set this under the mat so it will dry nice and flat. And then you've got this layer as well. So you can either put this layer and put it on the inside here as well to have another spot where you could do a little sentiment, or it's also the same size if you wanted to put it on the front of the card and do your layers here and put a little something on the front. So those are some options that you have. And I think I'm going to put it on the inside. So again, I'm just gonna put these two layers together. And you should have a nice little gap around the edges. Let's see if I could do better with this one. That looks pretty good. So again, if you wanted to do a little print and cut on this, and you know, you could do something on here as well. Maybe you want to stamp a little graphic, put the year on here. And then this can, again, go in here, or it can go on the front, but I'm going to put that in the middle. So for now, again, I'm gonna put that under there and let that dry. And we're gonna do something extra special to the front. So let me grab a few more things and I'll show you what we're gonna do. Okay, so I grabbed some floss, and this is a nice yellow color. We're gonna make the tassel for the hat. So let's see here, if we grab, let's go ahead and grab a foot. And then we'll just cut it right there. And I don't need this to be super long coming off the hat. I'm just gonna fold it in half a few times so we get a good amount of tasseling. So, so I get 4 strings. Let's see. That might be a little bit too short. I think that'll be okay. All right, so I've just folded it in half a few times. So now I'm down to about 2 inches. And then in one end, I'm going to tie in a little knot here. Easier said than done. So I'm trying to tie a knot with all of the pieces. Okay, so I've got that tied, and then this side, I'm just gonna cut this here. So we've got some tassel pieces, and they are not all the same length, so I'm just gonna trim up those few. Those are not the right scissors for that. Let's try these. There we go. Okay, and then what you can do, is, you know, if you wanted to put like a brad in here to hold that in place, and I'm just going to stick it down with a little pop dot. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna use a clear, I've got some clear glue dots that I think are gonna work better. So I just break these into the smaller chunks that I need. I don't need to use the whole thing. Put that back in there. And then I'm just gonna put this kind of right on the back of that knot and try to keep it behind the knot there. And I like these because it's clear, so it'll hide it better. And then take that right to the center and tack that down. So I've got that on there now, so that looks a little better. And then we can move this out of the way, and our other pieces should be dry. I could pull these back out. So I'm gonna open my card back up. Again, you should have a nice little border around here. And you do have 2 options in the file. You can either cut out the word congratulations, or I've also got it so it doesn't cut out of this piece, so you could cut it out somewhere else, or you could print it on there too. So you've got a few different options of how you want to do that. I cut mine on my Silhouette Cameo, and I used the overcut button to cut that out, and it cut beautifully. In fact, here is the actual inside piece of it, and it came out perfect. And I can't say that that happens very often. So I'm pretty happy with how that works. So that overcut button is the answer. So again, I'm just gonna put some glue on here. And I want to put a little bit kind of in between these letters so that they stick down as well, but don't overdo it because we don't want to see the glue peek through. And just a couple little dots of glue kind of in between these little letters here. All right, that should do it. And again, we're gonna have a little bit of a nice gap around the entire part here. So I'm just lining up the center. Lay that down. That looks pretty good. So with the foil, I want to try really hard not to touch it with my fingers because the oils from your fingers will show up on here. So I'm just going to use the edge of my shirt here to touch this and hopefully not get glue on my shirt. That's not working well. So I'm going to use this and I'm just going to press very lightly because this can also scrape and leave marks on this foil paper as well. And some of these don't have a ton of glue. So I've got a little scrap here. This is just a Post-it note. I'm gonna put a little bit of glue on there and then I can come in here and get under some of these little spots that are sticking up. I like the Post-it notes because they're so thin that you're not like overly raising the paper to get this under there. And then I'm just gonna press those down. And then I'm just going along all of these pieces and making sure that they've got enough glue under them so that they're going to stay on the paper. Okay, that looks good. It does take longer for this foil to dry. It's not a porous surface, so you might just have to hold it for a little bit to really get that to dry on there. All right, that looks pretty good. And then let's go ahead and put the other one on the top. I'm just putting some glue on here. Again, you'll have a nice little gap around the entire design so all the colors will sneak through. And I'm just gonna line up kind of that center. Okay. So you may want to put this piece on before you add the tassel because now the paper won't lay flat because that tassel piece is on there. But I wanted to do that while I was waiting for this inner piece to dry, but that is something to think about. Okay, so here is the completed project. And I'm just gonna press down the seal here to really get get this to seal and fold where I want it. Okay, so here is the finished product. We've got the little tassel on the top, and then it opens up here. And again, you can write a message up here and also down here. And it does fit in your standard envelope size. So this is a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 card.